Hi, my name is Melissa Coyle, and I'm the Director of Marketing Programs here at Bluepoint Venture Marketing. Today we're going to talk with Managing Partner Tim Hurley. He's going to tell us a little bit more about social media, what's going on in the world, who's doing it really well, and some tips and tricks for those companies that are just looking to get started. Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Great, thanks for having me.
There's been a lot discussed and debated around social media the past few years, especially this past year, and it's become so pervasive for businesses and consumers. Are we in danger of social media burnout?
Well, it's a good question, and certainly on the hype scale, social media is at an all-time high. And most times, with any new technologies or tools, hype precedes usage. But I'm not so sure with social media. If you think about a few really compelling statistics, there's now 65 million users worldwide on Facebook. That's the equivalent of the world's third largest country. There are almost 20 million users on Twitter, and more, obviously joining every day and every week. So, from a user adoption standpoint, the numbers are very, very compelling. I think in terms of how marketers are looking at those channels, there's a big appetite still. I just read some statistics that eConsultancy has released in the last few weeks, where 41% of marketers are going to be increasing their budget. Both marketers, in-house and agencies, are increasing their digital marketing budgets for 2010 as budgets start to thaw out a little bit. So I think it's really, we're still on the way up. There's still a lot of investment being made, and there's still a lot of excitement.
So, what's your advice to companies that are looking to start a social media campaign for the first time?
Well, I think that it's really important for us to start with a strategy, and without question, looking at an investment in social media in terms of the overall marketing mix. It's not social media for the sake of launching a blog, for starting to appear on Twitter, or to create a Facebook fan page just for the sake of saying that we've done it. The way we advise customers, prospects, and clients is exactly that. Look at the overall marketing mix. What's your objectives? Who you're trying to reach? How can social media augment and support the tools that are already in place as you launch a website, as you're launching a lead generation campaign? How can it augment your PR and other influencer relations? So it's really starting with a strategy. Those things that I mentioned are tactics, they're not strategies. The second is you really have to be, I think, realistic in terms of what can be accomplished and when. Can't turn on a social media campaign and 3 weeks later abandon it because we haven't hit certain metrics. And those metrics are really, really important. And at the outset, getting buy-in from everybody, from the CFO, from the CEO, from the sales. What is it that we're hoping to accomplish? Are you looking for qualified leads? Are you looking to increase brand visibility? Is the company looking to raise capital or expand? These are all business goals, and social media should be tied to those business goals. I think also being flexible and refining the programs and the tactics and the strategies on an ongoing basis are really, really important. A lot of times it's trial and error. There's no question about that. Lastly, I'd say really being true to the brand and trying to maintain a persona that is consistent with your offline persona. And everything that's done, whether it's writing a blog, whether it's communicating through a user community, or whether it's your CEO on Twitter, again, there needs to be consistency with the brand that's already established.
So, Tim, you mentioned measurement. Now, can social media really be measured, and can it be measured accurately?
Well, it has to be, right? I think the way that we look at it is that notoriously and traditionally, PR has been deemed difficult to measure, right? It's an art, not a science. And yet we talk to clients all the time. How can we measure our effectiveness? It's really about goal setting, I think. Social media from that standpoint is no different than traditional media programs. And companies that can really and accurately identify what it is they're trying to do in terms of moving their business are going to be successful. So whether that's increasing site traffic, whether it's increasing user engagement, whether it's bettering your customer service and support, and engaging in a more active dialogue with your customers, or increasing sales, those are all business goals that I talked about earlier, and they need to be measured. And we can't embark on a program, and we want to be responsible for a program if measurement isn't part of the dialogue. And that's really one of the first things that we talk about.
Okay. How does social media support traditional media?
Again, I think it's part of the overall marketing mix. We don't have a single company in our portfolio right now, or previously, that has abandoned traditional media and it's gone exclusively for social. They know that their customers, whether they're consumers or business buyers, are consuming all types of media. And I even maintain that even though it'll continue to be called social media, it's really morphed into media. Just like e-commerce and e-business were popular terms in the 90s, today that's how commerce is done and business is done. It's done electronically. It's done over the internet. And I think social media will continue to morph and blend in with traditional media. If you think about it, there's been a number of new tools in recent months and years released, like Dig and Delicious and other social bookmarking sites that allow you to take traditional media and share it, and in many cases bypass what we would consider traditional media outlets and go right to the buyer, right to the decision maker. So there's that morphing, and I think again, blending what would be considered traditional media with social is critical. There's an interesting stat that I read just this week where Edelman released a survey about the effectiveness of social media and the trust factor. Traditional media jumped by 20 percentage points from mid-40s to the mid-60s in terms of the percentage of respondents that trust traditional media. And I think that speaks to the fact that while it is changing, it's not dying completely, and buyers and consumers are going to continue to be influenced by traditional media, and they need to be both part of the mix.
What's really important right now for marketers with regard to social media?
I think one thing that's always been important that won't change is transparency, and really being true to the brand that you represent in terms of social media, and being transparent with your employees, with your customers, with your prospects. The new element, which you'll start to see more and more of in 2010, is ROI. So 2007, 2008, a lot of companies were experimenting with social media programs, certainly from our clients and companies that we deal with. We saw a lot of experimentation. 2009, they started to refine it a little bit. In some cases, they might have retreated, based on where budgets were going. But in 2010, all signs point to, I think, a modest, if not maybe more significant increase in where budget dollars are going. And at the same time, the CMO is being told by the CFO, CEO, show me that it works. Show me that you're increasing leads. Show me that we're increasing our brand visibility. We're gaining market share or mind share, and I'll continue to invest in it. So really, ROI is king.
Who, in your opinion, is doing it really well and doing an effective job?
There are a lot of companies, as you said, large and small. I know in our world, which is mostly enterprise tech clients, I think two big names that come to mind, and they market well. It's not just social marketing and social media that they do well, but they're really marketing powerhouses are IBM and also SAP. SAP in particular has invested a ton in their communities. Their whole SAP ecosystem is one that not only benefits SAP but all their partners, and they do it really, really well. On the other side of the coin, looking more consumer markets, I think Ford, which has really, really kind of turned its brand around and turned its business around, they're very, very innovative on social marketing. And lastly, in the pure consumer world, Burger King, I think they did some really interesting things. Again, trying to restore their brand. Social media, they were one of the more innovative companies in 2009 in terms of some of the things they did. Lastly, one of our clients in the enterprise tech space, a much smaller company than those that I mentioned, is a company called Archer Technologies, and they built a very impressive community and an exchange where their user base can interact and share best practices and really influence product development. And as a result, they won an Archer won a Groundswell Award from Forrester Research, and I think that was a real achievement for a smaller company to be able to do that.
So in conclusion, Tim, can you share with our listeners what some of your favorite social media tools or your favorite social media tool
is?
I
don't have a single favorite, and I don't know that I have one that most of our viewers or our clients and people that we deal with haven't tried out or used regularly. I tend to use Twitter for business and LinkedIn for business, for recruitment or business development, things like that. Facebook I kind of use more for fun and keeping up in touch with friends and family. In terms of some of the things that we use here every day, we use Haro all the time. Help a reporter out is a very, very effective tool. Started to use Google Analytics more and more, and I guess my 2010 resolution for social media is to get more ingrained in Google Wave and see how we might use that for our business.
Great. Thanks so much, Tim. I appreciate sharing your thoughts on social media. And listeners, stay tuned for our next installment. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.